Hello viewers, Tim Poole here at SBC Lisbon. We're with The Huddle and we're with Rasmus Kjaergaard, CEO of Mindway AI, and Scott Burrows, Head of Technical Compliance at Superbet. Thank you both for joining me. I wanted to start off by thank you for joining The Huddle and asking about the partnership between Superbet and Mindway AI. I wanted you both to, you can both answer the first question, but we'll start with you, Rasmus. Walk us through the partnership, what it means and how the companies have come together.
Yeah, so actually the partnership with Superbet we have here at Mindway AI is a great partnership. It's straightforward and pragmatic solutions are found from day one, and that is actually what we like quite a lot, working in that way, because we are straightforward, pragmatic technicians who have built an AI solution for finding at-risk and problem gamblers, and when we can deploy that with operators to their own satisfaction, which I hope Scott will mention a little later, then that's always great.
And Scott, same kind of your take on the partnership and kind of what it means for Superbet.
Yeah, I think I would just echo what Rasmus has said. We work really, really collaboratively, and I think that really, really helps, especially if we look at each market. They've all got their own level of risk. It's not one size fits all for every market. It's how can we develop this to be the best solution in each of our markets. And I think with Mindway, we have that collaboration and also the pragmatism that you mentioned to really drive that for our markets.
Mm-hmm. At shows like this, there'll be a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations, perhaps even interviews such as this, a lot of words spoken. So to make it really clear for our viewers, I wanted to break this next bit down. A question for Scott. Quite simply, where would Superbet be right now with Mindway AI versus where would you be without it?
That's a good one. I think you've got to look at some of the bigger markets first. So we've got internal tools because we need to have them. They'll flag markers of harm. That works well. It meets the requirements. But once the case was then passed to our RG team, sometimes takes a little bit longer than we wanted and we're more reactive than proactive. I think with Mindway in place, it allows us to be proactive in the RG space rather than having to wait for something to happen. I've always said, self-exclusion is the nuclear button. We should do everything we can to prevent players getting to that point, and Mindway just makes that a little bit closer to reality.
Mm-hmm. Next question for Rasmus. I wanted to ask, so it even struck me, you mentioned AI and how it helps with responsible gambling, but I suppose when it comes to looking after customers, that's something you'd associate with a human touch, So I suppose my question would be, how effective is AI and how helpful is it when it's not a contradiction in practice, but just in saying that you have kind of AI machine algorithms looking after people, if that question makes sense.
It certainly does. So, and I think it's a very important point exactly to focus on the fact that behind every customer ID there is a human being, and gambling behavior is a human behavior, an individual human behavior. If it is risky, then it's also an individual human risky behavior. And that is exactly why we have developed our approach where we do not cut out the human being, but actually add the human being into the loop in terms of training our algorithms based on human experts, meaning psychologists with RG treatment experience or lived experience people. And I think that's a key part of both our success with Superbet in terms of more precisely, more accurately, more efficiently, with a higher efficacy, finding at-risk and problem gamblers and supporting Superbet in actually also do something about it. Because what we want to achieve is to try to clarify the full 360-degree holistic picture of the gambling behavior on all customers in a quite a huge database with Superbet on a daily basis, and act upon what we find. So that also leads into that those human psychologists are then replicated into this daily reporting in the systems. And ultimately also the AI will, with that, finding patterns that that a human eye is not able to find for enhance of the protection of the players.
Staying with you, Rasmus, I wanted to follow up. Is the biggest advantage here with AI the looking through the mass scale of data? Because you just mentioned the big database at Superbet, for example, and kind of other operators will face similar. Is that the biggest advantage, just looking at things quickly at scale that perhaps a human might miss, for example, or is there does AI go kind of beyond that in terms of its biggest, I guess, at this point in time, its biggest selling point?
Yeah, I think it depends. The general part of your question, really very much depends on exactly what the problem is that the specific AI is to solve. In our case, the problem we want to solve is to clarify the full picture of the gambling behavior, as mentioned. So that is actually a conundrum in itself and makes it quite tricky to build this, because on one hand, we want to identify an individual human behavior in insanely huge data sets. On the other hand, we want to utilize the strengths of AI to actually see those patterns and provide also the context. So nightly play is a typical example where that is in all sorts of cases and widely recognized as a marker of harm. All systems can be able to track if there is nightly play. But if I then tell you that nightly play on weekend evenings with a stable deposit pattern is one risk level or one type of gambling behavior. Another, and in my view, very much more risky pattern would be if the nightly play was going on weekdays, spinning into early hours with more erratic deposit patterns. That's an example of the difference between a less nuanced system and a more sophisticated AI-based system that is trained in the right way and with the high accuracy as we provide.
Question for Scott now, and this, I suppose, I don't know what you think of it. It's an interesting question, maybe a challenging question, but when it comes down to it, when you've maybe got the trading team hard at work, when it comes to an RG consideration versus a profit consideration, what's the decision-making process? What happens at Superbet?
Should be a hard question. Potentially for other operators, it's not for us. Protecting players from harm always has to come first. It also allows them to be sustainable. So I'll use an example. If you have a player comes in, spends 5,000 euros in 2 weeks, and then self-excludes, you've then lost that player. So you've made, a quick buck. If you bring them in, and they start to show markers of harm, Mindway is flagging them, you say, do you want to set some limits? And you actually start working with that player to rein that in. All of a sudden they go from a $5,000 one hit to actually long-term sustainable play that then builds your player base. Sustainability for players is profitable for businesses.
Absolutely. Next question for both of you. So let's stick with Scott to start it off. Just in terms of highlights for the partnership so far between you both, what stands out in terms of? You can hit me with whatever you want, but in terms of achievements, any data you have, what are the highlights?
I'm not allowed to say spending more time with Paula, am I?
Of course you are.
Well, that's probably one of them. But seriously, the highlight is how collaborative it feels. It's not operator versus supplier. It's not supplier versus operator. It's a partnership. And that partnership makes it pretty special.
Yeah, for me and for us at Mindway, I think it's fair to say that first and foremost, I completely agree to what you say. And yes, you are allowed to spend more time with Paula. But also, this partnership has seen us re-win a conversation we lost some years ago. So we have moved one of your countries over from a competitor. But also, we have seen us together conquer new countries and new territories together that will be, is it fair to say, significant for both of us onwards? Yeah. So that's of course always great, and just in an operational level that we can make an operator like Superbet who have certain requirements and needs, as all bigger operators have all sorts of assessment you have to go through before you are selected as a provider. And not only pass that as a tick box exercise, but also make them happy afterwards. That's really amazing.
A final question for both of you looking ahead. So we'll start with you, Rasmus, and then finish with Scott. In terms of future plans, what can we expect from this partnership between Mindway AI and Superbet? And please do not be afraid to give our viewers any exclusive partnerships that are going to come up, any product development, etc., etc.
Yeah, so we are in general and also with Superbet, of course, investing in developing our product, growing our company to more jurisdictions. We have a clear strategy to move into new countries with our customers, and Superbet is a great example of that. In general, we see movements towards more of such solutions spreading in the US, in Europe, in Latin America, and for us with Brazil, where AI is a mandatory requirement for detection of the gambling behavior. On the product development side, well, as we have a clear policy that first and foremost you can choose whether you want this as a hosted solution or on-prem on your own preference as an operator, but we also support the idea that you can actually to an extent tailor different types of our functionality, create reports and such to even better support the day-to-day operation, because after all that's the glue that makes the wheel turn.
Yeah, I think we've rolled you out across our key markets. I think the next stage for me would be to have you everywhere. I think you hit the nail on the head with, look, Brazil has AI as a mandated requirement. That's not going to change, and it's also going to happen in other markets. So all of the newer ones that are starting to open are considering, what does real-time interaction with players look like? And you can't really do a real-time interaction with a player unless there's a system, because a human physically can't get through that amount of data. So yeah, I think for me, it's going to be a long-standing partnership, I think. And yeah, looking forward to get it rolled out across all of our markets.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you both for joining us. Good luck with everything. Keep up the good work. And Scott and Rasmus, pleasure to have you on the huddle.
Thank you.